everybody. Welcome to Rise and Trending. I'm your boy Prosper right here. And today's a Friday and it's 15:55 in the afternoon right here in the UK. And I've got my friend Naomi, who is a radio presenter. She's a good one and she's going to tell you more about herself in just a few seconds and what time her show starts so that you can get to listen to what she does. Naomi, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, you're right. Naomi, just a quick one. What time are your shows on Pan?
All right, so actually, I do have the Saturday show at Penn from 6 to 9. It's called the Rise and Shine Breakfast Show. That actually plays a bit of Zambian music. It's actually a mixture of different genres, but of course, we focus much on the Zambian music industry. And of course, Sunday I actually have the one that starts from 12 to 15 hours right on Penn. It's called the Groove Train. Now, I like this one. It's kind of like a very complex show. It's about R&B music. I believe that music is a language of mankind. So I really, really like to listen to good music. And for this show, I actually do get to play R&B music, strictly some old stuff R&B, actually. It's classic R&B. Really, really
Great,
good.
great stuff. Okay, cool. Naomi, before we talk about any other conversation that is very crucial, but I wanted to find out something from you. If you had all the
Okay.
power in the world, what would you do? Let me tell you what I would do. If I had all the power,
Okay.
I would ban um I would ban the drinking that happens during New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve. The magnitude of them actually puts a lot of people in harm's way, even those people that are very much innocent. Let's take for instance, you've got a lot of junkies in the streets. Um,
Mhm.
you've got people getting, just getting nagged for no reason. So yeah, that's what I would do. What would you do?
Then drinking on days like the New Year's Eve and on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, I would actually do that if I had all the power, in fact.
Well, that's an interesting one, actually. Personally, I don't know. What would I do? Okay, I feel it's really important that we. Okay, I think I would actually stick to jailing or at least bringing to book people that take advantage of their workers, especially in the working in the working environment. Actually, different businesses. I feel like sometimes it's we especially ladies. I don't know. I don't know about the gents, but I think with women in workplaces could be prone to being sexually harassed, especially by their superiors. So I think that's one thing that I would maybe try to work on, especially like working on the fact that if it's work, you will have to work. Don't really compromise like work and sexual activities. So I think I would really bring to book all the superiors and CEOs that are trying to harass women just for them to be offered employment. We actually have this happening everywhere actually, where woman has actually sometimes has to present herself in a certain way for her to be given a certain position. As you
But
actually have
but
heard
but but
still a
but
famous
but but,
saying,
but I have a question for you. This is
please.
where I feel like society takes it wrong. You've brought up a very nice conversation, but I feel like
Mhm.
it's not only women that are harassed in their workplaces,
Yeah, yeah.
but why is the
Men
focus?
too actually are.
Yeah, but why is the focus only on women most of the times? It's like
Mm,
we're talking about the issue of molesting young ones. Even young
exactly.
boys are molested today.
And nah, yeah, actually, that's the truth. Mm, if we talk about women actually in the working environment, we don't have kids in the working environment,
Okay,
so we're actually
okay,
focusing on
okay.
most
Like
of the one.
obviously, when it comes to being abused, maybe women can be abused in certain ways, but I feel like even young boys um get abused. Like, okay, the abuse can be like different in the society. Like for women,
Yeah, exactly.
it might lean towards more like being sexual, but
Mhm.
for guys, it might lean towards, that emotional part of them that can enable them to like become drug addicts
Mhm.
or something that can just push them in another way. This is where I feel like the violence happens in boys most of the times. Like it pushes them into a direction that will make them not to stand out or be good people in the society.
Exactly. Of course, that's really true. I believe everybody, both genders actually, can be exposed to harassment, different types of harassments actually. But of course, when it comes to the working environment, as in the professional or just the working environment, actually, I think of course, men too can be harassed in a certain, but I think women mostly, for them to be given a certain position or just a raise in their paycheck, like the amount of money they're getting, just for them to maybe get to a certain point where their salary is really comfortable. I mean, most of them actually do have to go through so many things actually just for them to be at a comfortable place. I think I've heard the famous saying, which actually goes like, "It's a man's world." So sometimes I think the environment for a lady out there could be a bit harsh. Not that I'm actually fully focusing on ladies. Of course, I understand even men too can get drained, especially emotionally, as you had said, and mentally, because sometimes work can be very involving.
Okay,
But I feel like,
okay, like yeah, I get it, but um in 2024 and 2025, um
mhm.
um I don't know. I don't know about that because I feel like today men and women have got the same opportunities.
Okay, yeah, they do actually. We do actually have. I think it's this thing where they say now it's a 50-50 thing, right? Where what a man can do, people actually say what a man can do, a woman can do better. It's like whatever a man would do, a woman can do as well. This is the reason why this is the issue of now. This is gender equality, or I think this big debate now that's actually out there about gender equality and everything. Actually,
Hmm.
people must stop taking advantage of the younger girls. Are actually, those of them that are looking for employment. Let's be fair. If you're
Okay,
offering
okay, all
employment,
right, cool, fine. I get it, but I have another question for you.
okay.
And I want you to like be honest with me. What's your take on, the current type of feminism that goes around?
Very toxic, actually. It's very toxic, especially. I don't really know about back here home, but I feel like now it's spreading all over the world. I think the type of feminism right here is very toxic. It's like people actually now start to think what a man will do, a woman can do better. I don't really side with it, actually. I don't really agree with it.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't. I think it's really toxic, and it's making especially marriages and potential relationships to break in a certain way. I think people are not really moving together. It's like a 50 thing now. It's like whatever a man would do, a woman can do, and I don't think that's the truth. That's not the truth, actually. I feel like in the beginning, God created man and woman with different abilities. Actually, a man really must be masculine, and of course a woman actually biblically has to, and biologically was designed with a womb. So with the current feminism, I think whatever it is, actually, especially in the Western world, I think now people are actually having some implants, getting the private parts cut, and I think it's really weird and a bit crazy, I think so.
I feel like, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I to just to add to that, I feel like, like even the issue of marriage itself has become like
Mhm.
so much complicated, where,
Mhm.
like our parents in their time, like marriage was so different. I marry you, I put you in my house, and then I go out to. Uh, uh, pick up, maybe like get the food and then bring them back home, whilst you like take care of the kids and just
Mhm.
make sure that the house looks good. But today, like things have changed. Uh, it's we have like things that we need to sign so that if you and I are not going to be like together at some point, then I'm going to
Mhm.
keep all the stuff that belong to me. Um, which is like crazy, and I feel like it has made society to like leave that gap where people are married, but they know that this can eventually end, which was not the case like a long time ago.
Exactly, because I strongly believe that marriage is something sacred, blessed by God, actually, from God to man. So, but at this point, looking at how things are really moving, especially when it comes to feminism and everything, I feel like now partners in a home are always in a defense mode. It's like anytime my partner can leave me. So, people actually being on very, it's like they're being alert of what might happen. But I feel like it's really vital right now to understand that a man must do what a man was called to do, and a woman must do what a woman was assigned to do by biblically. Actually, we're Christians, so I should believe that woman must do exactly whatever is within her to at least be more feminine and let a man be masculine. Because I think if a woman now is actually fighting for this thing, a 50-50 thing, whatever men will do, I must do. It's really toxic, and I think it messes with your mental well-being because then uh, there's just certain special activities that a man can do and a woman cannot do. And let me say, for instance, actually, for instance, a man cannot give birth. A man cannot get pregnant. A woman must get pregnant and deliver a baby. Okay, so now with this current feminism, it's like uh, I don't know. It's really crazy actually because back a few weeks ago and I think a few months ago, I was actually following a certain documentary, some parts in America, where a boy, this actually these twins were born as boys actually. These guys were actually born as boys,
Hmm.
but so the parents took them for circumcision. And what happened is, whilst the other one was actually done well, so the other twin, when circumcising him, I don't know what happened. The machine malfunctioned and they hurt his private part. For that reason, they actually had to cut it off completely and give him something like a vagina. Sorry, I don't know if this is a strong word to use, but they actually did that. You see, so now this kid grew up as a girl, in as much as from the beginning the kid was a boy. So uh, actually created a certain sense of uh, you know, actually had a trauma as he was growing up because he liked climbing trees, and doing all sorts of things. And his parents actually would actually make him put on dresses. So I think he got to a point where this guy had to commit suicide after learning about his situation. So I think the reason I'm actually bringing up these topics is because at this point things are really mixed up right now. Things are really mixed up, and this is not normal, actually. This normal isn't normal. We shouldn't really, normalize such things. I, for one, believe that a woman must do whatever was assigned to her by God in the beginning, and a man do whatever it is that he's supposed to do. Actually, we can never compete. We can never compete. Whatever you're good at, I might not really be good at, but of course, I can be good at something else.
Yeah,
So with the current feminism, I
it's a
don't side
no.
with it.
It's a no. It's
No,
a
no,
no.
no, no, it's a
No.
no.
This is
Feminism
like
must be feminine.
feminism zero and Naomi one. Anyways, yeah.
Okay.
I know it sucks. In the way like relationships are like taken today.
Mhm.
But I also would love to like find out. Obviously
Mhm.
like you being in Zambia. Um,
Mhm.
the current state of um, the economy and how things are just like moving at the moment. What's your
Okay.
view on that?
Well, I must mention that being a Zambian right now feels like a very big job, like a very hard job. Things are not really okay here.
Yeah.
from what I'm actually seeing. The economy is biting. The economy is biting because the dollar is actually really, really high, and things are really getting a bit higher lately. But because I think you actually might really have an idea that we actually had problem with load shedding, and that
Yeah, yeah,
affected a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
businesses actually.
It's bad.
SMEs, most of these guys that are into smaller businesses really had got down, had actually really, really went down. People like those guys that actually have some barber shops, smaller,
Hmm.
smaller businesses that really highly depends on electricity, really went down. And for that reason, the country, I think, was actually operating in a very uh, bad state, something I would actually say poverty actually really struck so much. And of course, millennium really high, fuel also is really high. So it's really affecting the livelihoods of people. But I'm actually hoping that things can get better with time. We're very optimistic, actually. I believe that things are gonna get better, but I wouldn't rely to you. I think things are really tough
But
back home.
that when we talk about the economy, we are obviously referring to the government as well, and seeing how much a part it is playing to like make sure that these things are actually sustained and people are not complaining. But
Mhm.
I feel like, in our society, in our Zambian society, most of the times you'd find that for 3 years we might be having like certain conversations, we're complaining, and then just before a few months before elections come, things will be like very
Mhm.
stable.
That's something I
And
think
then
it's more
and then we
interesting.
are going to forget like what happened. We'll be like, okay, yeah,
But
awele lipo.
do you know that of course, maybe things might get a little better towards the elections, but that will not really rub away or flush away the hardship we had actually suffered for the 3 years or 4 years towards elections. I feel like it's, of course, yeah, they might really try to make things a bit better and easy towards the elections. Of course, I mean, that's what they've actually been doing every time, not only in Zambia, of course, in other countries as well. Of course, we know that is exactly what's going to happen. But I feel that's just for a short time. I believe that lies have short legs. So of course they might try to maintain that for a very short period of time. But of course, after then, I think it might get back to how it was back in the days.
Yeah.
I don't really think such can, just take a twist in a blink of an eye. It requires time for, I think, everything to be stable again. So, but of course, I don't really think it's a matter of completely forgetting the hardship that we had, the previous years. Believe me, I don't really think it's easy for one to forget how hard certain times were, especially the times that we actually had very long hours of load shedding. Like people were suffering. Kids stopped going to school. Most of them are actually in private schools, because of the same. Many families actually suffered. I actually have friends who, have like smaller barber shops, places that highly depend on electricity. So those guys, I don't think they'll be able to forget completely as to the problems that they
But
actually suffered.
the real question that still stands is who to blame for this.
Okay, definitely. I
Like
mean, we actually vote for the government.
there are two sides. I've actually spoken to some other people, and
Mhm,
depending on who you talk to, they would say, "Oh, this is not the current regime's fault." Other
mhm.
people would say, "Can we blame the PF?" It's just a matter of of
You know,
of who you're speaking to. But in your case, who do you think is to blame for
it's the
all this?
blame.
Yeah.
All right, let me mention first
Because
and
I
foremost,
feel
a man
like
comes
to my part,
in.
I feel like to some degree, if Zambia is going through a lot of I mean a lot of like Zambia was in a drought at some point, right? In this year, you never had rain, too much rain. I mean, we never had too much rain. I mean, um, it was poor compared to the type of rain we've had, like in the past, and um, and if we are paying if our sources of power like we depend on hydro, meaning that we need a lot of power, but we need a lot of water, I
Because of
mean, in
rain.
order for us to like uh compensate for the electricity that we need. And obviously I know Zambia is also like in some deals where they're like um supplying electricity to other areas as well,
Mhm. Yeah.
where like they made contracts, for instance, or just give a random example. Let's say they made a contract with Botswana to like give them electricity for a certain period of time. And then they have to make sure that, um, you know, they provide the electricity there and staff their own people so that, they keep to that contract, you understand? So
Yes.
at some point, it might not be, if we are sharing electricity, it might not be, um, you know, their fault. Maybe this contract started when Edgar Lungu was there or whatever
Exactly.
president that was there, but they just want to make sure that we complete the contract that we
Mhm.
had to supply power that side.
Um,
And then
Because
if it is the power of the issue of power is we also need to like look at how much rain we've had um,
mhm,
currently.
of course, we really can't blame the government, the current regime, about the current deficit we had with regards to the energy sector. Of course, I mean, we all know that we actually have
But
had.
let me tell you something. I know if my mom would listen to what I have said right now, she would like
Mhm.
say,
Crucify you, right? You
yeah,
be crucified. Okay. Okay, but of course, I don't really okay playing blame games right now. I don't think is wise. I think the best thing we can do actually is always look for a solution. Of course, right now we can actually say maybe we are in this crisis because of the previous regime, that's PF, and of course the people would actually say, okay, we actually have the current regime, that's UPND, and what are they doing to ensure that we
you
no
know,
longer have such a problem?
you know what I feel would be like the most ideal thing to do.
Oh, what's that?
The most ideal thing to do in our society is to make sure that we create more opportunities and more
Exactly.
jobs. Because
Of course.
if in our society we have more jobs, then that basically
Mhm.
means that people have income, and then that income, anybody can be able to like use some spare money to go and buy a solar panel. Uh,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And also the government just investing in uh other types or maybe your sources of power, so we're not just depending on hydro, but also that has also got some other factors as well. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
Because then, yeah, I think at this point, it's a matter of like forging ahead. We've got places like Dubai that are not really depending on hydro, for them to have like power and everything. People actually have different sources of electricity. So we're actually hoping at least now that maybe we actually, I think this time around is it's a bit better right now because we can actually have power for like maybe 6 hours, 7 hours in a day. In as much as it might cut, but of course this time around is a little bit better than it was last year. Last year was really bad. So I think, of course, now that we learned the hard way, especially the government, I think they learned the hard way. I think now, of course, they actually are putting in measures to ensure that we don't really face this deficit again. I think they actually brought in some people from China and the guys that were, I think they actually signed a contract of producing a certain type of electricity or something. I'm not really sure, but I think they're working on that. So it's not really a matter of blaming PF for leaving the current for leaving Zambia in this situation, of course. And I think the current regime also shouldn't really blame. I think that's exactly what has been going on. They say no, we really can't fix the problems that PF, had caused for almost 10 years and just fix them in a very short space of time. I
yeah,
think right now it's best that the government soldiers on and takes responsibility whatever they're doing because we are no longer in PF, we are in UPND, and we're just hoping to see if maybe they can make the lives of the citizens better by bringing in some better policies for the general public. This could be in different sectors. Actually, I believe that things can get better if we stop playing blame games. Actually.
exactly, exactly. So now we are like going to the end of the show right now, but
Mhm.
I want you to ask any question, and that question will be answered by the next guest.
By the next guest.
Yeah, any question of your choice. And then the person who's going to come next after you, they will need to answer that question when they start.
Okay. 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 Maybe my question could be,
But
what's
first of all,
causing the more?
listen. Well, first of all, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be so serious. If you want to be serious, it's okay. But however you want to phrase the question, you can just put it. Whatever question you have, I mean.
I mean, of course, I know it must shouldn't really be too serious, but since you say I must pose a question for the next guest to pick up and answer, I mean, I think I would really want to know exactly as to what is causing the moral decay of kids right now. The moral decay. Is it parents? Maybe schools? What's causing the moral decay of the kids? Like, what is causing this moral decay?
All right, everybody, you've heard Naomi. She just wants to know what's causing the moral decay of kids right now. And
Mhm.
the next guest that we're going to have on the show that would need to answer that question. Thank you, Naomi. It's been a nice chat.
Thank you, Prosper. You actually have a great day.
All right, bye.
Bye bye.